views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. Welcome to my show. Today we are having a special guest named the Honourable Rod Taylor. He's a leader. You're welcome. He's a leader of the Christian Heritage Party of Canada, a pro-life and pro-family political party in Canada, my homeland.
Well, thank you. That's it's great to come to you. I live in northern British Columbia, and we had our snow. We've had a couple of snows already. It's not deep on the ground, but we have snow on our front lawn today.
How dare we have snow? You usually have snow where you're at?
Well, November, you can expect snow in November. So
what does Christian Heritage Party, or CHP, mean and stand for? Just to rehash.
Sure. Well, the name CHP is Christian Heritage Party of Canada, of course. But we were formed in 1986 by some people who had tried to bring biblical values and protection of innocent human life through the existing parties at that time, the larger parties. And they found that once those people got elected to office, they would forget their promises and they would come under party discipline. Sometimes the big parties don't want to get tied down to certain moral values. So they said, well, we've got to have our own party. So this party is specifically dedicated to the protection of innocent human life, support for traditional marriage between one man and one woman, the support for the supremacy of God, recognition of the supremacy of God and the rule of law, which have both been abandoned in large part by the central parties. And of course, freedom, justice, freedom, all the good qualities that we human beings desire and appreciate. We stand for those things. So the government of Canada, I'll just, your readers or listeners may know this, but the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the closest thing we have to a constitution here. We have a constitution that's a little different than the American one. It's made up of precedents as well as court precedents, as well as there's a Bill of Rights. There's the British North America Act of 1867, and there's the Charter of Rights and Freedoms brought in the 1980s. But it begins with this phrase: Canada is founded on principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. And that refers, when it says God, it means the God of the Bible, the Christian God. And so if our government and our politicians and our courts would follow that, we would be a lot better off than we are today.
I hear you. And your mission, like you said, is and your goals for all of Canada to become...
Well, Canada, as you know, we are a nation of 10 provinces, 3 territories. Each of them have their own, government, either provincial or territorial government.
Wow.
But the mass of Canada, all this is united under a confederation, right. And it is a parliamentary democracy in that we elect members from each region to represent us in Ottawa. and
Right.
that's called the House of Commons, and they debate bills. Most of our legislation originates in the House of Commons, and then it goes to a Senate, which is also somewhat regionally represented. But the senators in Canada are not elected; they are appointed by the Prime Minister. So
Oh,
right now we have a Senate. There's room for 105 senators. Almost all of the senators in office today have been appointed by Justin Trudeau. And so that's partly why our nation is in such trouble. The Supreme Court is appointed by the Prime Minister, the Senate is appointed by the Prime Minister. And of course, then in the House of Commons, the party that gets the most seats in the House of Commons, we have 343
oh,
members of Parliament. The party that gets the most seats is the ruling party, and it has a lot of sway over what happens in Ottawa.
sad.
Yeah, very sad. I mean, it would be great if they were all good people doing the right thing for the right reason. Unfortunately, that's not the case today. We've suffered for 10 years under a Liberal government.
Mhm.
And some of the things that we're going to talk about today are a result of that shift. However, our opinion is that even the Conservative government, or this Conservative Party,
Mhm.
which is the official opposition, they have the most seats next to the Liberal Party of Canada, which is the ruling party.
Mhm.
The Conservative Party has never stood up for, in a unified manner, for the protection of innocent human life. So, abortion, we have in Canada, we kill about 100,000 babies a year. Uh, Taxpayers pay for that, and we hate it. I mean, those of us who love life hate the idea of killing the next generation, but that is the laws. That is where it stands today, the laws of Canada. And I know you're going to ask about medical assistance in dying today, which is another travesty that was brought in. It was brought in by the Liberals when Justin Trudeau was elected as Prime Minister in 2015. The next year, they introduced, you asked, prior to this, you asked the question, who introduced it? Well, Jody Wilson-Raybould was a member of Parliament and the Minister of Justice. She's the one that tabled the bill, and it was supported by the Liberal government, and it passed in 2016.
No one had any say over this passing the bill? No one in Canada, citizens?
Well, there was a lot of opposition to it.
Mhm.
Not enough, I'm afraid. I know I attended some of the Senate hearings on it. We also made appointments with various senators and members of Parliament to encourage them to resist the bill. But when one party has a majority in the House of Commons, it's very difficult for the other parties to resist. And unfortunately, this was not an issue that every Conservative member of Parliament was willing to take a strong stand on, right? So
They were afraid.
yeah.
I
So
had to see it.
I know, I don't know if you want to go to, like, you sent me some of the questions ahead of time, and if you want to go
Sure, go ahead.
strictly to that, but I can sort of answer some of them in a comprehensive manner. So 2016, the bill was passed, Bill C-14. C means it originated in the House of Commons. If it was began with an S, it would mean it originated in the Senate. So C-14 was passed, and it originally was only supposed to apply to those whose death was foreseeably imminent.
Mhm.
You could see they were about to die. And theoretically, I mean, this is what the proponents of the bill said, it would be for those who were suffering excruciating, unbearable pain and were about to die, so-called anyway.
So-called.
That we take issue with all of those things because there are doctors who say there's no reason for someone to be in unbearable excruciating pain. That there are medical
Morphine.
for that. But anyway, that is what they pushed, and of course that means that people who basically who it gives them a way of saying that they're done with things. Their family has no say over it, and it could happen. What in actual fact is happening is that people who are not imminently dying, but maybe have had a bad day or a bad month or something, and don't feel enthusiastic about life, they can call for a MaiD, and in all likelihood they will get it. In 2021, well, first of all, there was supposed to be a review of this after 6 years.
Yeah.
That never took place.
Oh,
In
shoot.
2021, they expanded it to include people who were not imminently dying, but who did not have a will to live. Basically, had some medical situation that they felt was irremediable, and even though they weren't about to die, they could make that decision.
The human beings who are suffering,
And
are they doing this against their will?
that I can tell you that there are people who have died who did not want to die. I can tell you that, and probably even before this law was passed. I mean, doctors have quite a bit of leeway when it comes to treating their patients. If a patient is at a place where maybe they're drugged, they're have little will to resist, there are people who have made a decision that they would want to have medical assistance in dying if they were at a place where they could not, there's preemptively saying, if I'm ever in a position where I can't make sound decisions for myself, then I want to die. I'm making the decision now for some foreseeable or unforeseeable situation in the future. And at that point, doctors in the dead of night have the possibility of giving someone an injection. It could be even morphine. Morphine is given for pain. But if you give too much morphine, the patient not only will not be feeling pain, they won't be breathing. And so that has happened. Yeah.
But really, this they're just killing for any reason.
Well, so now last year actually, there was an amendment passed. Instead of examining, and we've killed almost somewhere between 70 and 90,000 Canadians have been killed by medical assistance in dying. Doctor-assisted suicide is what we call it. That is way more than the 46,000 Canadian soldiers who died in World War II. Let that sink in for a minute. All the sacrifice that we made on the battlefield, we've killed more people than that on purpose in Canada.
In our own country, we are killing our own people against their will, when they don't feel too hot. They say, might as well go. What happens to their soul afterwards? I don't know. I'm praying for my Canada to stop killing their own people. It's just like a dictatorship, and to me, that's my idea of what is going down. No one has any right to say no. Is that right?
Well, let's put it this way: it is framed and promoted as a person's choice, right? But there are pressures that come to bear on people, because they feel many times people in their latter years can come to feel like a burden on their family. If they're in hospital, they're requiring, they know it's expensive to be in hospital. And that's a reality we don't deny, that it costs money to look after people.
Sure.
But most of the people at that stage in life, they've been taxpayers, they've been hardworking Canadian citizens, maybe
To
they were
be helped.
soldiers.
Yeah.
We have veterans
Mm.
who need care. They have either PTSD or even physical challenges, maybe they're amputees or whatever. And
Disabled.
Veterans Affairs of Canada, which is a government body that's supposed to look after them, sometimes they say, well, we really can't help you, but we could give you MaiD. We could if you're not happy now, maybe you'd like to end it all. And that is happening.
There's no respect. It's gone out the window.
And so like our position as a national party committed to the protection of innocent human life at all stages, we believe that human life has value, regardless, not whether you can chop wood or not. Like if you're at a point in your life that you're just not able to do a lot of things for yourself, you need help, your life still has value. And for grandparents, their life has value for their grandchildren. And I think that's something that's often overlooked. And I'll tell you, when I was at the hearings in the Senate when assisted suicide was being debated, and there were two gentlemen there from the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Ontario, and they were promoting the idea of making it legal. And you know what? They were bean counters. They were accountants. From their point of view, it was cheap. It's cheaper to kill somebody than it is to look after them in their latter years. Now, they didn't say it that way.
It's just the gist of it that, yeah.
You could hear in their words, and they were very cold and calculating, that we should do this because then there'll be more money in the medical system for younger people, whatever. And now you start to weigh off the value of someone's life by how much it costs a life. So
It's sad.
Right now, about 5% of deaths in Canada are in British Columbia and Quebec. It's about 5% of all deaths are now a doctor-injected suicide.
What about the assisted people wanting to help people who want to assist be killed, suicide? What happened to that? People who want to help others from not being killed.
Well, there are some excellent people out there. The two that I'm going to tell you about, one is Alex Schadenberg.
I know
he
that.
runs Schadenberg. He runs an organization called Euthanasia Prevention Coalition, and they've been around for a long time, long before this bill was passed. Because the reality is there have been people pushing politically for this medical assisted suicide long before the bill was passed. And Alex has been a real trooper. He's very knowledgeable. He speaks around the world on this topic. A few years before this came into law, we had lots of government efforts to stop suicide, young people, whatever, the suicides that are taking place through, all kinds of things, broken homes, homelessness, loss of jobs. I mean, suicide has been a problem, throughout, throughout our Canadian history, but in recent years, I think with drugs and a lot of, the broken relationships and so on, it has been more so. I think particularly on native reserves and in the downtown core of our big cities, we've had a lot of suicides. And now, of course, we have deaths from fentanyl and opioids it's all related. This hopelessness, homelessness, hopelessness, helplessness, and low self-esteem and just frustration with the way things are. So, but there was a lot of government programs to try to prevent suicide.
Mhm.
And now the government is promoting suicide through medical assistance in dying.
I can tell you why they're feeling hopeless. Canada is making them feel homeless.
Yeah,
Hopeless, I mean,
that's right.
spiritually.
Well, and we think that one of the questions you asked me prior to coming on here was, why is the government doing this? Why are, the men and women elected to Parliament passing laws that lead to the premature deaths of Canadian citizens? And the reality, we believe, is because they have rejected God.
Mm.
God says, all those who hate me love death. And we see that, in some of the Islamic dominated countries. We see it in some of the downtown cores I've been talking about. People who have rejected God often choose paths that are not leading to good conclusions, good solutions. So I believe that I don't care if it's a member of parliament, a appointed judge, or a voting citizen, but if they have rejected God, they have rejected wisdom, and they have chosen delusion. Romans chapter 1 says that when people reject God, he gives them over to delusion and to do things that aren't convenient or wholesome. So,
Satan takes over.
pardon me, yes. And so I think members of parliament, there are some very good ones in there, but there are some that are just confused, and they think that they're doing the right thing, and they're not. I can tell you that this bill was passed last year that was meant to add, or maybe it was the year before, it was meant to add mental illness to a legitimate reason to be put to death through MaiD.
I am bipolar type 2. I am not going back to Canada until that's eradicated, that bill.
Very good, very good, and
I protest.
you're probably safer to stay where you are.
Yes.
Um,
Well,
but
maybe.
last year there was enough of a resistance to this that Parliament postponed it for a year. Why they didn't just throw it out is beyond me. But if there's a bill now to change that, but if that doesn't pass in June of next year, we will begin to see officially people with mental illness allowed to choose death, which is, I mean, that's basically, like I said, we used to oppose suicide. Now we're giving people the a choice to commit suicide. And
What's
we,
the
and
sense of
government,
having healers and psychiatrists and that? What's the sense of having those? You
yeah,
just want to kill the patients anyways.
yeah.
There's something not right. It is so sick and
I think
unholy.
there's a phrase that talks about a hardened conscience, a seared conscience. Like when you sear a steak, you burn the outside and then it keeps the juices inside. When your conscience is seared, you're unable to interact in a conscientious manner with the world around you.
Mm.
So there's not only politicians and judges whose consciences are seared, but doctors. There are doctors, and I think many of them have been committing abortions for 10, 20, 30 years. So
You know,
they're killing innocent human life. What's the difference? They're in their mind, they're saying, well, what's the difference if it's a baby or if it's an adult, right? It's still in their
children,
mind.
teenagers, adults, elderly, no matter who it is.
And what people
Amen.
should realize, they're always wanting to call people Nazis and call people Hitler and whatever. But Hitler had a term he called useless eaters. And he called people who, if they couldn't contribute to society, if they were disabled, to him, they were a useless eater. They're just taking up space. They're taking up money that could be spent on others, and that he started killing disabled and mentally challenged people long before he started the attacking the Jews. And I think it's the same thing. Once you start killing people, unless you,
Real thing.
yeah, you get your conscience becomes hardened or seared, and you're unable to distinguish good from evil. Those who care about life, we've seen, and of course during COVID, we saw a lot of our most conscientious doctors punished for refusing to comply with a system that they knew was going to harm people. So anyway, we need those good doctors, we need good politicians, we need good judges, and we need good voters who are going to put the right people in office.
We are all over in in Canada, CHP, right?
We have people in most of the provinces. I think probably in all the provinces. Not so much in the territories. We do have a few members up in the territories, but we have areas of strength. In Ontario, we have quite a few members in Ontario. In fact, we're going to have an Ontario members meeting on November 22nd. I'm heading down to Ontario or across to Ontario in the middle of this month. I'm going to Ottawa first for a meeting with Elections Canada. Then I'm going to make a 2-day trip to Nova Scotia, and then got a members meeting near Barrie, Ontario. Then going down to Ingersoll, where we're going to meet with any of our members in Ontario that have signed up and registered. We're going to have an all-day meeting with them, and 3 days of national board meetings to talk about things that are going on that we need to deal with. So,
Will this be televised, I hope?
We
Online?
will record our speeches at the Ontario members meeting. It probably won't be streamed live, but we'll record, and some of the speeches will be, put up on our website after.
YouTube or something.
Yeah, our website is chp.ca. It's a very easy one to remember, chp.ca. And so we have a lot of stuff up there now, a lot of content. We do a weekly, as you know, we do a weekly podcast called CHP Talks.
Oh, yeah.
And that comes out every Thursday. So folks who are interested, and we also every Tuesday, we send out our weekly communique, which is an article on some current topic. So any of your viewers and listeners that are interested in having a link to either our weekly newsletter or our weekly podcast, you can just write to us at chp.ca. There's a place there to sign up for our newsletter. It's free, and a lot of your viewers and listeners will be in the States, but they may still benefit from some of our interviews and articles in Canada.
As of November 2025, assisted suicide, often called medical assistance in dying or physician-assisted suicide, is legal in 12 jurisdictions within the United States: California, Colorado, Delaware, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Maine, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington, and Illinois just legalized it just recently. They have strict conditions regarding who can make use of MaiD, but Canada did as well, but now virtually everyone can make use of MaiD.
It's I don't know of anyone who's been rejected who applies for MaiD. And the reason why we have a higher rate of MaiD in Canada or in British Columbia anyway, than we do in left-wing loony California.
Right.
The reason is In Canada, a doctor can suggest it to a patient, and they do. And in California and in most jurisdictions, they're only allowed to talk about it if the patient brings it up. But in Canada, uh, people can, the doctors, nurses, caregivers can suggest it. And if you suggest something to someone, it can become pressure. It can be seen as pressure.
It is.
Well, we need your bed. The hospital's pretty full. We sort of need,
Oh man,
right? Or
illogical.
the nursing home, there's lots of people trying to get in here. You're just kind of taking up a space. I mean, they wouldn't say it that way, so in such a cruel manner, but this is, and another thing people should realize, it's related to this topic, is organ donation. And a lot of people think it's wonderful to have on your driver's license or whatever that you are an organ donor.
Mm.
What happens all too often is that they use this designation of brain dead, which a brain dead is not dead.
That's right.
And there are people who have been diagnosed as brain dead who are now walking around and carrying on conversations. But this one lady, I saw a program, she was unable to communicate, but she could hear everything going on around her. She could hear the nurses talking about her, but they didn't know she was hearing them.
Yeah,
I
hear
there
about
was one very mean nurse
that.
who talked about this woman as this thing. She said to someone, "Can you help me move this thing?" And this lady could hear that. Well, later on, she was scheduled for an organ to have her organs removed for organ transplant, but she woke up. She came to.
Lord for that.
She was able to speak and was rescued from that process. And that's doctors, when they want organs, they actually want to take organs from a living body, and they're doing it in China involuntarily.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, and they're taking live organs from healthy human beings in China that are outside, have run afoul of government social credit system or whatever. They might be religiously out of sync with the government or for other reasons, and they're prisoners, and they're taking their organs to sell them to Westerners who can afford to go to China to get them.
Is Canada starting to go that way, Dow?
I wouldn't say that, but I would say that you should think twice about being listed as an organ donor, because if you are unable to defend yourself in the hospital, they could use that designation of brain dead when you're not dead. And I think when people put themselves down as organ donors, they think, well, if I'm dead, I don't need my organs. But they would actually want to take the organs while you're still physically living, while your heart is beating.
Shoot, man.
So
this is so sick.
There's a lot of things going on. What we want to, I don't want to leave you on a negative note. A lot of this is negative.
Yeah, it's almost the end of our show, my friend.
Yeah. I'll just say that God has a better plan for us. He has plans for good and not for evil. If people will give themselves to God and allow Him to influence their thoughts and their lives, then we don't have to fear. God's on the throne. He's in control. All of us are gonna, we know that we're gonna all pass from this earth one day. And I have confidence when I pass from the earth, I'm going to be in the presence of Jesus. So, but all the same, I want to be here as many days as I can to do some good if I can.
Help others from being killed off.
So, anyway, my role is in the political realm. We try to convince. We're missionaries to Canada's political realm, and we want to convince people that our nation would be better, whether you're believers or unbelievers. you'd be better off if our nation was based on, it was functioning on biblical principles.
And this is Patty Hunter, or Patty's Page, thanking the leader of Christian Heritage Party, the Honorable Rod Taylor. Thank you so much for coming on my show and sharing.
Well, thank you, Patty. It's been great to be on with you again. Thank you for inviting me, and God bless you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I guess that's we
Yeah,
don't
this
Canadian
month.
Thanksgiving, but your American Thanksgiving is coming up, and we
Yes.
have a lot to be thankful for in spite of all the rubbish going on. So God bless you.
And Merry Christmas to you, sir.
And to you.
Godspeed.